Continuing with this description of the Scholar website, the rubrics folder here shows rubrics that generally describe each activity, requirements, different components that you should include for those activities. If you click on the name of the folder, it'll pop up with the two rubrics that are available so far. First is the online post rubric, and second is the reflective writing rubric. If you click on this link, it'll actually download the document for you, so you can see the different components that should be included in each online post. So first, there will generally be some kind of prompt that says what kind of information you should be discussing in the post. Make sure that you're thoughtfully answering each of those questions. That's the most important thing for an online post. Second would be, if possible, integrate content from the weekly readings. So pick some concept from the weekly readings that you can apply to that online post. Third, make sure that you are avoiding plagiarism by citing authors and years of publication, rewording any content or ideas, and providing credit for authors' work. And then last, make sure that you proofread your post for spelling and grammar. The absolute best way of doing this is to actually read it out loud to yourself. That will definitely help you pick out problematic areas. You could read it out loud to a roommate too, if you feel silly reading it to yourself. So going back to the course, you can see that it is displayed on a week-by-week basis. And you can click the tab for each of the weeks once we've opened up those and you're able to access that information. So week 1, which is Tuesday through Saturday, January 10th through the 14th, is available so far. You are currently watching week 1 part 2 instructional video. And you can see here the description for the introduction. It reminds you to check the rubrics in the rubrics folder, and it gives the due date, which is Wednesday, January 10th at 5 p.m. So this is that first engagement test, just to make sure that everybody is engaged in the course. And it lists the different prompts that you should be discussing. Your preferred name, hometown, major and year in college, your favorite TV show, favorite food, and which topic in the textbook or in psychology in general is most interesting to you. Then you can also see the link for the article that you'll be reading, the link for the quiz, which is due Friday at 5 p.m., and the instructions for the first reflective writing assignment. This is also due Friday at 5 p.m., and you can look at that reflective writing rubric in the rubrics folder for a little bit more information about what you should be including there. And then these different 5 points reflect the components that you should be including in your reflective writing. And this particular assignment should be uploaded as a document. So you won't actually type in a response field, you will upload a doc file or a docx file. For the group project assignments, the first component is due next week. That is the topic of your choice. You've been randomly assigned to groups. There are 5 groups in the course, and since I'm the instructor, I'm able to see all of these. You should only be able to see the one that corresponds with the group that you're in, and you can use this to communicate with the other members of your group to start brainstorming the ideas for the topics that you want to research. So as I mentioned, for this week, you should read modules 1 and 2 from the textbook, then introduce yourself by creating an online post, and then read the wrap article. This is a great first dive into social psychology, dipping your toe in the pool of social psychology, as it were. This looks at one of the most important learning objectives, which is critical thinking. So here we'll look at how misinformation is associated with critical thinking. And as you read through this article, think about the kinds of information that you consume on a day-to-day basis. And how do these descriptions match up with your own experiences, the descriptions that they have in the article? And be thinking also what you do, if anything, to be a critical consumer of information in the media, whether it's the news media or social media. And what suggestions does this article propose that would help you become a more critical consumer of information. So is there anything that you can do that could help you be more of a critical consumer? Then after you've completed those first 3 activities, you'll take the first mini assessment. It includes some informational questions about your procedural preferences. As I mentioned, you'll be able to indicate your preferences for what the due dates are each week and what time things are due. And it also covers information in the syllabus and in the wrap article. And as I mentioned, this first quiz is due Friday at 5 p.m. And later activities will be due on the date and time that the majority of the class prefers. And I'll summarize your preferences prior to the start of next week so you know what the class chose as the due dates for each week. Then the 5th thing that you'll do this week is to contact your group members, and using the forum that's specific to your group, start to brainstorm possible research topics. If you prefer to meet in person to discuss things, that would definitely be an option. You can choose to either meet in person or communicate electronically. The forums that are for each group are just an easy way of getting in touch with each other, rather than having to try and exchange email addresses. And you can always, of course, modify your approach if you find out it doesn't work for you. So if you try to meet in person, but your schedules unfortunately don't overlap, so you don't have availability at the same time, then by all means, you can try communicating electronically in the forum. And here are your group assignments, and each of the components of the group project will have a letter associated with the group that you're in. So, for example, Bobby, everything that you'll see will say Group Project C or Forum C or something like that. And I wanted to make a few final comments before concluding with the first week instructional video. First is I have high standards, and this is in part to ensure that you do excellent work, because every one of you has the capability of doing excellent work, but unfortunately if there are other things going on in your life, it can sometimes be easy to let some things slide. So I want to let you know up front that I will definitely expect you to do well in the course, to do your best. But that doesn't mean that I think that you'll be perfect. You'll almost always have the opportunity to try things, to possibly make some mistakes before you're assessed on particular content. So if you're struggling with any aspects of the course, I would definitely want you to let me know sooner rather than later. I'm very responsive to student comments, especially when they're well thought out and phrased in a respectful tone. I definitely can't help you if I don't know you're struggling, so communication is the most important thing. An example from a previous class, some students struggled with some true-false questions that were provided by the publisher of the textbook. They were unfortunately poorly worded and just generally easy to get wrong. So after learning that they were problematic, after a couple students let me know, then I omitted them from future assessments. So I either wrote my own true-false questions or included multiple choice questions instead. So communication is the most important. That's what can help you succeed as students and me succeed as an instructor. So to sum up, definitely want to welcome you all to the class. I'm really excited to talk about some of these concepts. As I mentioned, my major is social psychology, so this is my absolute favorite thing that I studied in school. We went over the syllabus, which, as I mentioned, will be part of what is reviewed in the first quiz, so make sure that you're familiar with that. And I mentioned the different things that you'll be looking at during week 1. So those 5 things that will be the activities for this first week. And as a reminder, definitely do your best, and let me know if you're having any issues. I am here to help, so communicate with me and we can help you succeed in the class. And I look forward to talking to you next week.